Welcome back. We've got a new video, and this is going to be one of a two-part series that I'll publish as two separate videos, and it's going to be on replacing the bumper corners on the rear and the front with color matched corners. Everything I buy typically is on eBay, and then I paint them. The rears come as steel, the front is plastic just like it is from OEM. The chrome ones that came with my SR5 are metal, and I'm going to be replacing them with plastic that are painted. So this first video is going to be on how the heck do we get these off, because the way Toyota designed this rear bumper with all the plastic and push pins is pretty much ridiculous. So we're going to go through this together, and then hopefully it helps you install these if you buy them on your own, or if you buy mine painted, you'll know how to do it. Let's take a look under here. So the first thing we want to notice is that this piece is actually part of the corner bumper. It's going to come off with it. You're going to remove it, and you're going to put it on the new steel corner that's painted. You also want to notice how this fits back in the truck. So here's the frame of the truck, and it actually goes in between this piece and this piece. If you don't catch that when you go to put this back together, it's going to be really difficult. So you're going to start with removing bolts, this pin, and then up here's all the lock ones that you got to push through and try not to break. So I just want to give an overview of what we're looking at below here. I'll probably be knocking this out, and my goal is to just lift up the plastic piece so I can get to the bolts that hold this corner on without removing all this stuff. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, on to the next few steps here. Got my license plate off. I have airbags, so I removed the fill fittings right there. This has two clips. You press in right here from the back, and then this will come out. I think I need to get these unclipped because the goal is to lift this plastic up enough to get to the bolts. So underneath you've got 12 metric 12 sockets right here, or bolts. This push pin's out. This seems to have a nut on the other side, so that's just spinning freely, and I think it's going to come out with this whole corner. So now at this point it's going to be to unplug this right here, a license plate light, so I've got enough room for it to flex up. So that's the next thing I'm going to unclip, and then I'm going to start with popping off the plastic top. All right, at this point I've gotten this popped off. I just used the regular pry tools, plastic pry tools, and I didn't bust any of the fittings. So that came out pretty good. I did wedge it up, and then when I could see in there, I used a screwdriver to push the tab in a little to make it come out. So that exposes one of the bolts we got to get to. And now we got to move on to popping this one up. Okay, this one popped up relatively easy. I don't think I broke any of them. Again, ones that are farther back, I used a screwdriver too to get. I'm trying to get the light in there so you can see it. There's one still back here in the corner that's far away that I need to get loose. And then I think we'll have enough room. You can see the bolts we're trying to get through right there. All right, so I've got it wedged up. Just stick something in there to put some pressure on it. And then when you come back under here, you can use a long screwdriver to push in whatever side you need of that pin to get it loose. Right there. And then the other one is right there. And you just want to push in the edges, and then it should snap up. At this point I have them all out. I know it's hard to see, but one did break off. So I did lose one of the clips. I think I'm going to need more slack on this wire, and then I'm also going to take out this pin here because we need some flexibility. One of these bolts is way back here in the corner. All right, so I think I've made enough room to get to all the bolts. There is one clip Let's see. Can you see it there? That's holding this center piece down. It looks like you've got it. There's a bolt on top, but it's not. There's another plastic clip that is stuck in. So you just need to pull up and it'll pop out. I highly doubt that's going to go back in where it was, but who cares? And then once you work that tag light mirror connection out of the way, you can lift up and we've got enough room to take it off. So go ahead and get these bolts out, get ready to put on the color match corner. All right, at this point, I've got all the bolts out back there. I've left this one in. I think that is part of the internal metal piece that's gonna get removed and put on the new one. I have some movement. It seems as though maybe it's stuck where it's wedged in right here. Oh no, okay. So we still have that one, maybe. Yeah, maybe that one has to come out. Okay. Gosh. Not sure. All right, be back. So look what I found right there. There is a nut sitting on top that I've got to hold. And that looks like a really tricky spot. Not quite sure how I'm going to get to that, but that is what's holding it on. So you are going to have to get to that one. All right, got her off. It is that. It's a number 12. Once you can just hold it, it comes out no problem. All right, on to the next step of taking this inner frame off and putting it on to the new bumper corner. All right, here we are. We got the old corner off that I wrapped with 3M vinyl about 3-4 years ago. It has held up well. I do recommend it as an easy solution. I did it myself and it took me like 3 hours per corner, but I only had like $100 into all 4 corners, so not bad. But anyway, here's the new painted one. You buy this off eBay, comes painted black or a primer black. I do paint these. I'm gonna put my website below, but the best thing to do is email tundratime941@gmail. And I always have it set up with an auto reply that's gonna give you a lot of info, all the links to YouTube videos, every color I have, just all of that. So you can go to the website, but I highly recommend emailing tundratime941@gmail. These are going to be paint on demand, so I'm going to stock them in black, the primer black, and then when I get an order, I'll paint it whatever color. It'll be about a 2 to 3 week lead time for that to get shipped out to you. All right, so the next step is we got to take this off and then simply transfer it over to the other one. All right, got it moved over. It certainly helps when you get the right corner. I had the passenger side corner, so it wasn't fitting right. So anyway, now that I got that in there, then what I did was for this nut that would be a real pain in the ass is I put some double-sided tape, that clear alien tape that's everywhere now, just put a hole in the middle, and then that way it'll just hold in place until I can get that bolt threaded in. I'm hoping that helps. All right, so we're gonna get it back on now. Okay, I got it back on. I got the bolts on the top. Lined up pretty easy. My idea on the double-sided tape was pretty stupid because this is actually mounts on the frame, not on the bumper corner, so it just got knocked off. So now I gotta figure out how to wedge it back in there and get the bolt through. That's probably gonna be the hardest part of this thing, I think. Oop, and I see I got a tab where it's hanging on by one side. You can order this whole plastic piece on eBay though. I'm thinking maybe I'll just use some double-sided tape to get it to stick down. I don't plan on ever taking this off again. Okay, so new plan is the double-sided tape to hold it in the wrench right there. So, let's see if this works. All right, we got her back on. It's looking really good. The only issue that I found was when I went to put this corner piece back on, this is too close and I can't fit it into here. So I can tell that there's some room for this to move out. So now I got to pull all this back off, loosen those bolts, pull this back so I've got room. So keep that in mind when you do this, so you don't have to do it twice like me. Found a little issue here on fitment with this piece. So 2 areas. Right here, this hole is not drilled large enough for the pin to go in, so I'm gonna drill that out, or I think I may actually just zip tie that. And then on this side, there is a body push pin. You can see right there, and the hole is not large enough for something it is not snapping in. So I think I'm gonna remove that and just use double-sided tape, some type of solution like that. All right, there she is, installed. I've got this little foam wedged in here to hold down on the double-sided tape. So hopefully that stays down. Came out looking nice. So not too bad overall. I used a zip tie on that bottom piece. It's good fitment. Looks OEM to me. So total of 3 busted tabs. So get ready for that. My truck's a 2016, so they're definitely dry and crack easily. But not bad. So now I'm gonna do the other side. It's gonna be the same process. If I do run into anything, then I'll let you know. All right, passenger side's off. Nothing really to point out with it. It's easier. You don't have that to pull out. So same process. I think I have, how many clips do I have left? Looks like 1 broke off there. 1 over there. This one's dangling. Jeez, I must have busted these off when I did the vinyl. So anyway, it's gonna be double-sided tape, and that's all she wrote on those. So once I get the new one on, I'll be back. All right, here it is all installed. Came out really nice. I'd say plan on about an hour for each corner, first time you do it. Hopefully it's the only time you do it. All right, next video will be on doing the front bumper corners.